Super Mario Galaxy is a game filled with all different kinds of enemies, some big, some small, and some just downright strange. Each enemy has their own attacks and own way to be defeated, well, at least most of them. With that in mind, let's get into it. To start off this video, we have Micro Goombas. Micro Goombas are relatively weak. They just attack by charging into you. They can easily be dealt with a star spin or a stomp. Goombas behave almost identically to Micro Goombas. They also charge into you, however they take a second hit to be defeated after being spun into. Aside from that one small difference, they can be beaten in the same way. Grand Goombas are the largest of the Goombas and they're strong enough to withstand a stomp. The only way to beat these giant things is to star spin into it and then kick it. Electro Goombas, later renamed to Octoombas, are the common galactic foot soldiers. They mainly just bounce around and attack by whacking their head into you. To beat them, either use a star spin or a stomp. Swoopin Poinks, later renamed to Slurples, are health-sucking space leeches that try to suck away at your health. Gross! To beat them, just use a star spin before they can get at you. It's that simple. Starbags are invisible creatures that are invisible at first, but they leave a trail of footprints in their wake. Star spin when close to them and then kick them away to get a whole stack of star bits. Nice work! Pokies are spiked segmented desert creatures that will try to whack you if you get too close. So you will need to use a range attack to knock away their segments, then go for the head! Chomps are essentially chainless chain chomps that roll around planets. They are practically invincible and will damage you if you touch them. The only way to beat a chomp is with a rainbow star. Octopuses are squid guards that will shoot either coconuts or fireballs at you. You must avoid the fireballs but knock the coconuts back at them to defeat them. Defeating them is always required for moving on. Boulders are spherical rolling rocks with a ruby in the center of them. They either move along set tracks or down long roads. Boulders are incredibly dangerous as they can pretty much knock you off edges, which they are oftentimes located close to. Their only weak spot is the ruby in the center, so you must always hit that, but it's very risky. Otherwise, you could just use a rainbow star to beat them much easier. Bugs, also called flying mandybugs and later renamed to flip bugs, are bug-like creatures that will flee from you if you're regular Mario, but will come after you if you're B Mario, thus doing damage if they touch you. To beat them, just pretty much use any of the other attacks. They're pathetic. Wigglers typically harmlessly circle certain areas until you jump on them, at which point they become angry. To beat a Wiggler, just flip it over or ground pound it. It's not too hard. Mandybugs are the minions of the evil Bugaboom. When they see you, they will charge at you and try to bite you with their pincers. To beat them, just jump on their backs and give them a nice ground pound. Spring robots typically attack by sending out shockwaves to hit you. Other times they're completely dormant. Spring robots are more of a help than a hindrance, as if you jump on them you can bounce to higher platforms and ledges, or reach power stars. Astro Goombas attack the same way a regular Goomba does. However, due to their helmets, they cannot be stomped. Instead, you must star spin into them to knock them over, then jump on them to finish them off. Big amps are large balls of electricity that slowly move around certain tracks or planets. Avoid them at all costs because there is no attack whatsoever that defeats them. Spiders, later named as Spoings, are spiders, hence their name, that hop up and down whenever you get close. They aren't too threatening, however, and they can easily be beaten with a jump or a star spin. However, they will damage you if you touch them. Magic Koopas are Koopa wizards that use their dark magic to launch fireballs at you. They can also teleport, making them a very formidable foe. To defeat them, just either use a star spin or a stomp. They'll always leave behind a coin. Mini Top Men, later renamed to Top Minis, are small top men that will try to ram you around. To defeat them, just use a star spin. They go down pretty easily. Bullet bills are launched from cannons. Whenever they see you, they'll lock in on you and home in on you. You can use this to your advantage to lure them into breaking open cages. Bombs are released from bomb dispensers that are typically found in industrial galaxies. You can pick these up and they have a few second timer. You can use them to break open things that are normally unbreakable. but be careful of the shockwave because it will damage you if you're close. Bob-ombs are very similar, with the only difference being is that they can walk and they will chase after you whenever they see you. You can star spin into them to stun them and then toss them at unbreakable objects to break them, but be careful of the shockwave. Monties are a type of mole pirate that appear in several industrial galaxies. They oftentimes attack by throwing their wrenches at you. They can be defeated by ground pounding near them to stun them, and then jumping on them to finish them off. Their attack patterns seem to be inspired by the Rocky Wrench, an unrelated mole found in other Mario games. Topmen, or spiky topmen, are a type of disc-like enemy that tries to ram into you and spin you about. The best way you can beat them is constantly spin into them until you knock them into the electrical barriers. Do not jump on their heads though, because they are spiky and that will hurt. They, along with the top minis, are led by Top Maniac. Firearms are a chain of fireballs that spin around endlessly. They can only be avoided. One touch of these and you'll be scorched. Urchins are very prickly sea creatures that will roll into you upon sight. They will damage you if they touch you. Take care of them with a shell. Clams can be found on the bottom of the ocean. They are often hiding hidden treasures. They'll open up as you get close to them, but be careful. Get the treasure before they close again or else you will take damage. They kind of resemble clampies that are seen in most later Mario games, starting with NSMB Wii. Big gringills are giant-sized gringills that are often seen lurking in caves. They'll try and chomp at you if you get too close to them. Watch out. They can be beaten with shells, and upon defeat they leave behind a 1-up mushroom. Bats are often found in dark caves. When you approach them, they will emerge and try to swoop at you. They can easily be beaten with a stomp or a star spin. They are often confused for swoopers, which appear in the mainline Mario games. Toxboxes flip around the sides of a planet attempting to crush anyone that comes nearby. Luckily there's an open spot allowing a heroic plumber to hide in as they pass by. Toxboxes cannot be destroyed. They've also gotten kind of a redesign from their N64/DS days. Torpedo heads are basically underwater bullbills. Like the bullbills, they'll home in on you whenever they see you. You can lure them to break normally unbreakable objects. That's pretty much the only way you can deal with them, otherwise they'll hurt you if they touch you. Pink Electro Goombas, later renamed to Octo Guys, are basically the more advanced version of the Electro Goomba. They'll spit rocks at you instead of actually just whacking their head on you, and they even back away to try and get a better aim. They can easily be beaten, however, with a star spin or a stomp. Thwomps are crushing stone blocks that periodically slam down to the ground. You can jump on top of them to reach higher areas, but be careful not to be crushed, because if they crush you, it's game over. That's it, you're dead. Water shooters are flood-like devices that shoot water bubbles at you. These often need to be avoided as they can throw you off course, but sometimes they can launch you to untold areas, making them a bit of a useful tool. Spring topmen behave almost identically to the spiky topmen, however they actually have a spring on their head which allows you to spring to higher areas, making them a little more of an ally than an enemy. Amps are balls of electricity that move along set paths. They will electrocute you if they touch you, so avoid them at all costs. Obviously they cannot be defeated, so you may want to avoid them or else you're going to be in for a rude shock. Get it? Jump guarders are spring topmen merged with spring robots. They spawn mini topmen. Always be sure to jump on their springy heads as you can use them to reach higher planets. Ball beamers are machines that send electric shockwaves at you. Make sure you avoid these at all costs. If they have a nail-like screw at the top of their head, be sure to give it a spin. You'll be surprised about what's underneath. Pumpkinhead Goombas, later renamed to Jacko Goombas, are essentially Goombas wearing a pumpkin head disguise. They leave flames in their wake, so be careful of this. If you star spin into a Jacko Goomba, this will reveal its true self as a meek little Goomba. They're immune to stomps, however if you ground pound it, this will instantly defeat it. Boos can be found all over ghostly galaxies. They're actually quite shy, because if you look at them, they'll cover their eyes, however if you look away, they'll come after you. To defeat them, just lead them to a beam of light. You can also defeat them while rainbow. Star spins are ineffective on Boos as they will just move to another area to counteract the attack. so don't even think of trying this. Boos can also be seen floating aimlessly around underwater. These guys can easily be beaten by shining a shell in their face. Get off the road! Bomb boos are very similar to regular boos, except they explode on impact. You can grab hold of their tongues and spin it around, and you can use them to destroy stone walls to reveal secrets. Boo! Goes the dynamite! Get it? Hanging spiders, later renamed to spranglers, are spiders that hang from webs and they'll try to swing themselves into you. These guys can easily be beaten with a stomp. Start spinning them will briefly stun them and kick them again to finish them off. They're pretty deadly foes because they're often found near cliff edges and they may just knock you off if you're not careful. Laser robots, later renamed to sentry beams, are a type of robot that spews a very powerful laser at you that's capable of electrocuting you. They cannot be destroyed, so avoid them at all costs. However, you can stand on their heads to briefly stop them. Koopa Troopers are often seen walking from left to right. They don't pose much of a threat, but they can still damage you if you touch them. When you jump on a Koopa Trooper, it tucks into its shell. From here, you can pick it up and toss the shell at various objects and or enemies. You can also swim with it. Also, I still don't know what's up with their grumpy look. Anyone know what that's all about? Gringos can be found either lurking in their caves or swimming about. They are dangerous either way, so make sure you use shells to beat them. Upon defeat, a Gringo will leave behind a mass of star bits. Nice! Only the cave-dwelling Gringos are really aggressive. The ones that are aimlessly swimming don't really pose much of a threat as they just aimlessly swim. You can find pufferfish hiding in treasure chests. When they see you, they will inflate and they will come at you. They can be beaten with a shell, however they will self-destruct if they either hit you or if they swim along for a few seconds. Purple Piranha Plants, later renamed to Prickly Piranha Plants, are a larger type of piranha plant with a very prickly stem. This makes them pretty hazardous to touch. They are also pretty defensive, meaning you will not want to attack them normally. Instead, wait for them to attack and then get the jump on them as they're stunned. They usually leave behind a bunch of starbits and even a sproutle vine, which allows you to progress once you've beaten them. Undergrunts are pesky little moles that like digging up gardens. They also wear helmets which prevent some basic attacks from working on them. To beat them, just use a ground pound to make a quake, and then spin into them. They are sometimes confused for Monty moles, an unrelated mole species found in most other Mario games. Golden chomps are the keepers of the lost treasure. They usually roll around planets and can only be beaten with a rainbow star. Once destroyed, they will leave behind a power star for you to collect. Now that's a great deal. Brewer bits, later renamed to little brewers, are ice crystals that will chase after you and try to freeze you. To beat them, use a star spin to turn them into a stone rock, and then run into them to finish them off. You better be careful, because if you're not quick to hit them, they'll start bouncing around and try to jump into icy water to regenerate. So you gotta be as quick as ice. I know that was a bad joke. Burn bits, later renamed to little cinders, are the fiery counterparts of the brewer bits. They will once again chase you, however these guys will try to scorch you instead. They can be beaten in the same way, just star spin into them to turn them into a rock, and then knock into them to finish them off. They will try to seek out lava while in their stone state to regenerate, so you gotta be quick, or else. Red urchins are the ground counterparts of regular urchins. They'll try to home in on you and try to spike you just like them, however they appear to be more furry in appearance. They can be beaten with fireballs, or the effects of a rainbow star, or by luring them to lava. Ironically, despite the fact that they inhabit lava places, they are technically immune to it. Sliding stones, called pushy walls in their early appearances, are later renamed to bomps, are stone-like creatures that live in walls that will occasionally poke their heads out. You can hop onto them to use them as platforms, but you gotta make sure you're not in front of them or else they'll push you down. You can also wall jump off of them. They cannot be defeated. But then again, oftentimes, why would you want to beat them? They're more of a help than a hindrance anyway. Ice bats are ice-based versions of bats that live in colder climates. They behave the same way as a bat, however they're immune to jumps and star spins, and a single touch will freeze you. So be careful. They can only be beaten with the effects of a fire flower. Now the only way to give these guys the cold shoulder is to light them up. Bomb chickens, later renamed to cluck booms, are roosters that will drop explosive eggs on you. You must sidestep these yolks and jump in the air and star spin at them to knock them down to the ground and give them another whack to finish them off. Nothing like a good old explosive pluck, you know what I mean? Pokey heads are, well, pokey heads. They hop around and try to hit you. They can easily be beaten with a star spin or a stomp. They're very similar to the Pokey Sprouts that previously appeared in Super Mario Sunshine. Red Pokies behave differently from regular Pokies. Well, for one, they can actually move, and they'll try to come at you and sometimes back away whenever you get too close for an attack. Anyway, to beat them, either use a star spin or a stomp. That should do the trick. Dry bones are Koopa skeletons. Whenever they see you, they will relentlessly chase you and they won't stop until they've hit you. If they hit you, they give off a very menacing laugh. If you jump on them or star spin into them, they will crumble apart, but this victory is short-lived as they will soon reassemble. You can repeat this process as much times as you like, but the result will always be the same. To beat them, you will need to use a rainbow star or lure them off an edge. Crabs, later renamed to crabbers, are creatures that can usually be found in beaches or deserts. They come in two colours, orange and teal. The orange ones will come after you, while the teal ones will run away from you. The crabs only have one weak spot, and that's their soft backside, which you must star spin into. If you jump on them, they'll be briefly stunned. They usually do their best to circle you to protect their weak spot. The reward the crabs leave behind upon defeat depends on which crabber it was. The teal crabbers will leave behind 1-up mushrooms, while the orange crabbers will leave behind star bits. Either way, you're all set, because they're both pretty good rewards. Praying mantas are jellyfish that are often seen lurking in dark underwater coves. They either circle locations in groups, or they are seen hanging idly until you approach, at which point they'll start bobbing up and down. They can easily be beaten with a star spin or a shell. It's not often you see a Yoshi's Island enemy in a mainline Mario game, so that's a cool note, I guess. A jammy fish is a type of weird, large electric jellyfish. It gets its name from jam and jellyfish. Get it? Because jam is like an alternative to jelly. Yeah. Anyway, as I stated previously, they are electric, so if you touch them, they will electrocute you. No upfront attacks will be able to defeat these guys, so you're going to need to use shells. Toss 3 shells at a jammy fish, and it goes down. Unfortunately, all it releases is a coin, but hey, it's better than nothing, am I right? Red Koopa Troopers are a rare variety of Koopa Trooper. They have red shells, and instead of actually just walking in set paths back and forth, they actually prefer to walk in circles instead. Red Koopa Troopers are also faster than green Koopa Troopers, but if you stomp on one, it will tuck into its shell, which you can pick up and toss at enemies. But these red shells are more powerful than the green ones because they lock in on a target, making for a guaranteed hit. Yeah! Bone fins are a robotic fish skeleton that are led by the colossal King Fin in the Bone Fin Galaxy. They typically swim with their leader, but the second they see any intruders, King Fin will send his trusty Bone Fin minions to go after them and chew them alive. Despite their fearsome look, they're actually quite pathetic as they'll self-destruct if they touch you, touch a wall, or reach the surface. Additionally, a shell can also be used to destroy them. Mecha Koopas are Koopa robots designed after the Koopa King himself. They're usually seen walking around, however upon seeing you, they'll go haywire, come after you, and try to breathe a stream of fire at you. They can be stunned with star spins or stomps, but the only way to beat them is with a ground pound. Apparently, according to Nintendo Power, these Mecha Koopas appear to be upgraded models of the Mecha Koopas that debuted in Super Mario World. Ringed beamers are dangerous spiked robots that will shoot shockwaves at you. Avoid these shockwaves as they are electric, and also avoid the ring beamer itself as it's spiked. There is absolutely no way to destroy these guys, so steer clear of them. Lava bouncers are small blue fireballs that hop out of the lava or are summoned by King Caliente during his 2 boss battles. These guys can be a real flame in your side, get it, like thorn in your side, because when they hop out of the lava, they will chase after you and they won't leave you alone. The only way to beat these guys is by shooting a starbit at them, or just waiting for them to disappear on their own. Lava bouncers look a lot like potaboos from the other Mario games, which they are often confused with. Little springies are small obstacles that appear in the way of certain tracks while you're Boo Mario. They'll bounce you back, hindering your speed if you touch them, so be sure to avoid them if you can. Bloopers are often seen swimming underwater. The second they see you, they'll start bobbing around trying to hit you. If they do hit you, they'll spray a little bit of ink, but this ink does not have any effect on you. To beat them, either use a shell or a star spin. They'll leave behind a coin upon defeat. Bloopers can often be found in large groups, making it a little bit of an issue to deal with them sometimes. Other than that though, they're not so bad alone. Underwater mines are mines that are found underwater and attached to chains. They'll explode on you if they touch you, so be careful. To beat them, you can toss a shell to briefly defeat them. This can also be useful as it can reveal hidden passageways as well. Fire shooters are similar to water shooters. They resemble Flood, but the only difference is they shoot streams of fire which will scorch you if you touch them. Cheep Cheeps are fish that can be found swimming underwater. They don't really pose much of a threat and just idly swim. They can be easily beaten with a star spin, or a shell. They are the last thing you need to worry about when underwater. On land, however, that's a different story. You see, without water, Cheep Cheeps tend to bounce around, making them a little bit of a hazard. Either way, you can still beat them with a star spin or a stomp. They leave coins or starbits upon defeat. Eye beamers are robots that hover in the air and use their eyes to create scanning plasma beams. You better watch out for those beams, because if they touch you, you will be scanned and it's going to hurt in the most shocking way imaginable. Eye beamers cannot be destroyed in any way. However, you can jump on top of them and hitch a ride to reach higher platforms. So that's useful, I guess. Eye beamers can also be activated through certain events, and their scanners can also touch down into water as well, so watch out for this. Chomp pups are small chomps that roll out of their kennels and down hills. They are often found in large numbers, making dealing with them slightly difficult. However, they're much smaller than regular chomps, so they're not really anywhere near as hard to avoid. To defeat a chomp pup, the only way to do that is with either a rainbow star or solving the puzzle in question. But then again, why would you want to defeat it? It's a cute little puppy! Bonsai bills are launched out of very large cannons. Unlike the regular bullet bills, bonsai bills don't home in on you, however they can knock you back much further than a regular bullet bill and are much more dangerous due to their larger size. They can only be beaten either by running into them, which causes damage, or by just letting them hit a wall. Let me know in the comments down below what your favourite Super Mario Galaxy enemies are. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and as always, this has been Philip Games, and I'll see you in the next video.